The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRCMedia, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
This week on FRCmedia News, local residents have their say over concerns that have arisen since the launch of Southcoast Rail. The City Council is seeking answers about a 3-year-old investigation involving a former DCM director. And we recap last week's high school graduation ceremonies in Fall River. All this and more coming up. It's Thursday, June 12th, 2025. This is FRCmedia News. I'm Keith Tebow. About 100 residents met with leaders of the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority, the MBTA, last week to express concerns since the launch of Southcoast Rail to Fall River and New Bedford 10 weeks ago. Since the service began, residents along a portion of North Main Street in Fall River have complained about late-night noise at the Weavers Cove layover station, and the service has been plagued by cancellations of some weekend routes out of Boston. MBTA Chief Operating Officer Ryan Caholen says the schedule has been running at full capacity since the cancellations during the 4th weekend of service. He also said the authority, working in conjunction with commuter rail operator Keolis, has been monitoring the corridor's on-time performance.
We proudly operate a regular 94% on-time performance. And that's a really good place to be across the country. That's very in line, and in some cases better than our peer agencies. The Southcoast Rail service in particular, currently operating at 79% this past weekend. We have seen some spikes upwards of 87%, which is a decent place to be. But like I said earlier, we fully know that we're going to have to fine-tune how these schedules interoperate with other existing services. We are the 5th largest commuter rail operation in the country, operating well over 500 trains a day. And most of that service, 2/3 of it, operates between South Station and all points south and west.
Shawnee LaRiviere lives near the layover station and said despite mitigation efforts, the noise of the engines and horns late at night is impacting her family's sleep.
I have put sound paneling up in our bedrooms. We have increased insulation in our home. I have done probably $30,000 worth of work to my house in order to make it livable. But there are still times that inside my room, it is 65 decibels. It's too loud. And even if I could sleep through that, I hear the hoot, and not a little tiny hoot, but sometimes it's a little playful, and it's annoying. And, well, how do you sleep through that? Things have got to change. And I know you guys want to, but I really know all of us want to be heard. We want you guys to know that we're not just being whiny. A lot of us are trying to make do. We're trying to make sure that we can make it through this. But every step we take on our end to try to just live with it feels like it's another step you guys take back into, being a problem.
Joe Arruda said the impact of the train is making his home unlivable.
Pretty much negated outdoor activity, family functions on my property. Can't maintain the conversation. Pretty embarrassing when you have people over that aren't familiar with that situation. And yet we put a noise mitigation program together, and I question the thinking behind that. Are we supposed to throw our screens away, keep our windows shut, nice spring day, and run an air conditioner? It would seem to me that the answer would be to address the noise. And that I would think that in the year 2025, that there is an equipment out there that would solve much of these problems.
MBTA General Manager Philip Eng says he and his staff are committed to investigating and mitigating the concerns of residents.
We're here tonight because we know that we own this issue right now, and we want to commit that we're going to work with all of you. We're going to look at what we can do short term that could make benefits, and we're going to also be upfront if something may take a little longer, but things that we want to pursue. But we want to have the ability. We've heard a lot of things that we expected to hear, and we've heard other things, at least from my perspective, that are new but important to hear. And I do think there are a number of things that I've heard that can be addressed more quickly than you think. So I know you want answers tonight, but I don't want to give you a promise that I can't keep. We want you to feel proud about your system, and I know right now you're not feeling that way about it. And we want to regain your trust, and we want to show you through action that we're going to do what we can to address all of these concerns. Again, I don't know how quick they will all be, but I assure you that we will show some action, and we're going to really take all of this to heart.
Mr. Eng says the authority is exploring efforts like doubling tracks along the corridor and electrifying the service, which could mitigate some of the noise and scheduling conflicts. This week, Fall River's local emergency planning committee met to discuss operational procedures and coordination in the event of an emergency on the city's portion of the Southcoast Rail line. Fall River Emergency Management Agency Chief Richard Aguiar says the exercise will supplement the city's standard operating procedure when it comes to responding to an emergency on the tracks.
I think every agency knows what they have to do, but I wanted to have unified command and collaborate with each other. So we got a lot of good ideas, a lot of great information. Stuff that MedFlight provided for us, the police side, EMS. So I think that once we get all their ideas together and we put the book together, we're going to have a great SOP to respond to the railroad. But again, like Chief Bacon mentioned, not only to the railroad, but to any major catastrophic situation within the city, which, once again, we all know what we have to do. But if we all work as a team, then we can get the situation accomplished sooner.
Chief Aguiar says the Emergency Planning Committee meets regularly to ensure that regardless of an emergency within the city, the residents remain safe.
Each part of the city has a shelter. And the main shelter is Deerfield High School, Mayo Center on Bay Street, Sylvia School, Doran School, Laterno School. So if we have to use those shelters, we can. If we have to evacuate one particular area of the city, you go to that school. In order to open up a shelter, it's got to be certified by the Red Cross. You have to meet criteria, handicap accessibility, showers, all kind of sanitary items have to be in the building already. So we provide all that. If we have to open up a shelter, we have all that stuff ready to go. So the city is well planned out when we have an emergency. And part of the EMA director's job is to put these plans in place if we have an emergency to mitigate before a situation should happen.
The Fall River City Council wants to take a closer look into an investigation 3 years ago that resulted in the termination of former Department of Community Maintenance Director John Perry. Mr. Perry was let go in 2022 following an investigation into allegations of improprieties, misconduct, and abuse of power during his tenure with the city. An independent investigation report, re-released this week by the Fall River Reporter, brought to the surface details of the allegations. City Councilor Cliff Ponte says he wants local, state, and federal authorities to expand the investigation to see if any laws were broken and why the city did not expand its inquiry.
Why I'm filing this resolution tonight isn't to bring back old stuff. It's to find out why there wasn't more follow-through done, and where are we missing the mark, okay? It was told to me on very good sources that when this investigation was ongoing and occurring, the directive was, we have to stop here. We have to stop here because there's too much that might come of this. There's too many people who might be harmed as a result of this. Going back legacy after department head after people, after favors and all that other stuff. No, that wasn't the right thing to do. The right thing to do was to finish the investigation, not give a severance package, and actually file a complaint, if necessary, to find out what really happened. And if there are more people besides the former DCM director that was doing things, we need to know.
When Mr. Perry was dismissed, he was given a severance package of over $60,000. Mayor Paul Coogan, who requested the investigation of Mr. Perry, says the city did its due diligence to uncover any wrongdoing.
We worked with the Florida Police Department. We sent information over to them, and they worked, I believe, I'm not sure, but it did go to the district attorney level, and there was not something we could pursue. And a lot of that stuff was before, or during the Jazel time. It's stuff that we've cleaned up. Who used the truck? Where did the power washer go? Where did the graffiti remover go? These are things that were very difficult to follow up on, and the personnel has changed extensively. And I have no idea why this is coming up now. I mean, it doesn't look like anything new has been uncovered. The report came out. The areas we could follow up on, we followed up on. The changes we could implement, we did. But the people that I look at, the people that I think may have been doing something criminal or illegal, and I'm pretty sure most of them have moved on.
1 week after rejecting the mayor's FY 2026 municipal budget, the council has received a second proposal. Mayor Coogan says the new plan should answer councilors' questions over the high cost of health care and a sharp increase in the cost of trash disposal.
The tonnage has gone up, the problems have gone up, and our carrier, Easy, said, listen, this is getting out of control now. We can't accommodate all this additional tonnage. We have since flipped where we dump. Now we're going over to Dartmouth and New Bedford to dump our trash, but we're on the chase all the time, and it's very, very difficult. Trash is tough. Costs are going up. Between drivers, they're paying astronomical amounts of money for drivers now. Insurance, everything's going up. It's a very big problem.
The council has until the end of this month to approve, reject, or reduce the budget before it's slated to take effect on July 1st. The One South Coast Chamber of Commerce last week hosted 8 members of the regional legislative delegation to get an update on activities taking place on Beacon Hill. State Senator Michael Rodrigues, who represents Fall River and chairs the influential Budget Committee on Ways and Means, says the Senate's version of the FY 2026 state budget focuses on, among other things, education and local aid.
What we focus on in the Senate always are a couple things. One is regional equity. We talk about our RTAs. We talk about community colleges throughout every region of the Commonwealth. We talk about a lot on our local public higher educational institutions. In my world, it's Bristol Community College, Bridgewater State University, and UMass Dartmouth. And also the Senate is always highly focused on mental health, behavioral health, whether it's school-based mental health and behavioral health services, adults, pediatrics, geriatric mental health and behavioral health services, and thirdly, local aid, whether it is so-called Chapter 70, which is monies that go directly to our cities and towns for support of their K-12 education system, something called UGA. UGA means unrestricted general government aid, which is a check that the Commonwealth cuts to all 351 communities for them to spend in their local municipal budgets as needed, where they need it most. Or in my case, is a third line item that I pay very close attention to. It's called PILOT, Payment in Lieu of Taxes for State-Owned Land.
The Senate budget still needs to be reconciled with the House version before taking effect on July 1st. Senator Rodrigues says the state needs to move forward in the face of potential funding cuts from the federal government.
We are staying the course, building a budget upon the facts that we have at hand, knowing that those facts might change come September or October, and we might have to adjust come September and October, and we will adjust and do so once we have a new set of facts. But we cannot, react to every proposal coming out of DC, because proposal's one thing, but until it's actually disposed of and passed, it's something different.
7th Bristol District State Representative Alan Sylvia, who represents Fall River's South End, says housing affordability remains one of the top issues he hears from constituents.
Housing is becoming, it's nearly impossible to find a unit for those people who are not earning more than $40,000 a year, and that's the basic median income in the south end of Fall River, $34,000 to $40,000 a year. So we're seeing hundreds of units being built, especially those of you familiar with the south end, the King Philip Mill area, the Globe Mills, down the Duro area. We're talking over 300 units in the next year and a half. But many of them will be market rate units. There'll be just a low percentage of affordable units. So my concern is housing for those people who are in serious need.
3 schools held high school graduation ceremonies last week, celebrating the accomplishments of the class of 2025. Just over 40 seniors walked the stage last Thursday night during the 5th graduation exercises at the Argosy Collegiate Charter School. Valedictorian Brandon Raposa said the graduates' experiences at Argosy have made them more mature to weather any challenges that may lie ahead.
This is a big moment for everyone. We've all grown as people, being able to see how we started out as kids and turned into young adults along the way. The events that happened that have changed us have been important to not only us individually, but us as a whole. I feel like we're one of the better classes with being together. And I know that we can take our journeys in life and handle the challenges that are going to come because we were able to handle it for the past 6 years.
Last Friday evening at the Atlantis Charter School, 75 students received their diplomas. Valedictorian Bree-Ann Marango challenged her classmates to use the perseverance they've learned during their high school years to guide them through the next stages of their careers.
Within this building has been some of the hardest challenges we've yet to face, whether it's been academic pressure, peer pressure, conflicts with teachers, classmates, partners, to trying to balance school, work, home life when still trying to get enough sleep at night. There's a number of different problems we've all faced, but one thing stands true. We're all here tonight showing we can overcome anything. Resilience is a key trait to take with you as we brave the future. Life is full of the unexpected and is constantly changing. We have no clue what comes next for us, but just know by taking this resilience and applying it to whatever you're faced, you can work through any problems that you may meet. We're a room full of artists, athletes, actors, entrepreneurs, future lawyers, doctors, engineers, teachers, scientists, businessmen and women. There's no one-size-fits-all path. So please don't let anyone drag you down and don't change yourself for anyone.
At Durfee High School, class president Obier Herrera said that they can all take their high school experiences and build upon them, regardless of where their life path takes them.
This moment isn't just mine, it's ours. High school has been a roller coaster. Some highs and some lows. And a few moments where we were just holding on for dear life. Yes, I'm talking about senioritis. We've laughed, learned, and probably tripped up more than once. I know I definitely have. But we've also grown and made memories we'll never forget. As we move forward, some of us will be heading to college, others into the workforce, some into trade schools, and some will serve in the military. And hey, some of us are still figuring it out, which is totally okay. No matter what path we're on, let's take what we've learned, not just from textbooks, but from each other, and use it to build the future we want.
We'll have more FRC Media News after this.
Here are some job descriptions and the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Assistant Group Leader, Family Service Association, located at 151 Rock Street, seeks a full-time assistant group leader, responsible for assisting the group leader in the planning of social daily activities. Job number 226-05328. Quality Control Chemist, Actilent is looking for a full-time quality control chemist to support critical testing operations in a fast-paced pharmaceutical environment in the Fall River area. Job number 226-11085. EHS Specialist. Amazon, located at 1180 Innovation Way, is seeking a full-time EHS specialist responsible for ensuring workplace safety, environmental compliance, and health standards within the organization. Job number 225-99834. Inventory Staging Expediter. Millstone Medical Outsourcing, located at 580 Commerce Drive, is looking for a full-time inventory staging expediter. For more information, call 508-679-8384. Maxim Healthcare Services has an immediate need for the following full and part-time positions in the Fall River area. Registered nurse, job number 226-12023. Licensed practical nurse, job number 226-12024. For more information about these or other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Time now in our program to take a look at local business and economic development news. I am joined, as I am most weeks, by Kevin Lawrence. He's the editor, owner, and publisher of Fall River Development News on Facebook. Kevin, how are you?
Very well. Glad to be here again.
All right. There's quite a bit going on. We haven't spoken in a couple of weeks, so there's some developments that we haven't touched upon. We like to talk a lot about housing. And there's going to be a new housing proposal with some apartments right there on South Main Street, downtown Fall River.
Yeah, right across from the courthouse, the historic Cherry and Webb building in the news because a developer is proposing 70 residential apartments for inside that complex. That is owned by Jobs for Fall River Inc., that building, and the Greater Fall River Development Corporation. It's been primarily used for office space over the last decade. Both of those entities put it up for sale back in November of 2024. They were asking $1,950,000 for the complex, and it is under agreement with Little Tiger Capital LLC, and they're proposing 70 residential apartments in downtown Fall River at that location, which would bring a lot of foot traffic, I'm sure, to that area, which is sorely needed.
I know a lot of people like to ask, I don't know if you know, do you know whether there'll be market rates, some affordable? Do you know what the makeup will be?
They haven't, they're supposed to go in front of the zoning board meeting at their June meeting. We'll find out, but I'm assuming it's going to be market rate.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to another part of downtown, although I guess we talked about this before. I guess the new downtown around Bedford Street. We talked about a project that's going on. I believe it's the corner of Bedford and 7th.
Yep.
That there's going to be, again, more apartments and an adult day center.
Yep.
There's been some demolition of some of those buildings that are there to make room for this project.
The properties were once home to Canton's Clunkers Used Cars. That was on 295 Bedford Street, and Geronimo's Collision Center, which is located at 57th Street. Your viewers are seeing in the pictures that they've been demolished. Both of those buildings demolished to make way for a new 5-story mixed-use development on that site. The plans call for an 8,000 square foot adult daycare center on the ground level and 52 residential market rate apartments for the remaining 4 floors. That property is owned by Cordero Properties. Anthony Cordero, of course, a prominent local businessman and a developer, and he's rehabbed a lot of properties in that Bedford Street, Pleasant Street area. The new downtown is what he likes to call it.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, that'll bring some modern look there in that part of downtown as
Brand
it
new
extends, just east, I guess, of the old the fire station, the old police station up Bedford Street.
Yeah. Right near Primacare, right near the Primacare.
Yeah, right near Primacare. And not far across the street, not far from, I believe, the Salvation Army building is in that, that neck of the woods. So anyway, all right. Moving on to some restaurant news. A famous, iconic restaurant has received a new sign.
Yes.
And many people will recognize this new sign because it looks like the old sign.
Yeah, the Almax Diner on 101 President Avenue. That's the official address, although it faces Duval Street. They've got a brand new sign. The sign was made to look like the original. I know you're showing the viewers right now. It really does look like the original. The old sign sustained damage over the past several years, and the new signage was just installed earlier this week. It's not a neon sign like the other one, but it replicates the calligraphy of the Almac Steiner logo. And it is backlit inside each individual letter. So I'm waiting to see what it looks like when the lights are finally turned on at night, because we haven't seen that in ages.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. And I'm sure it'll definitely light up that neighborhood in terms of the iconic Almac sign that's been there forever, as far as, at least in our lifetimes, it's been there for that long. And finally, this week, another restaurant in the news. We talked about this restaurant in terms of moving around different places, and now it's headed for Rodman Street.
Yeah, another new restaurant coming to 1365 Rodman Street, which is the location of St. John's Athletic Club. The new establishment is going to be named Casa Bar and Grill. We learned this due to the Fall River Licensing Board in June meeting agenda. It's on the docket to be discussed. The same spot was also home to Olympio's restaurant inside the St. John's Club. That didn't last long. It was only open for a little over 2 months before it closed. And before that, it was the Azores Family Restaurant. The Azores Family Restaurant moved to Ocean Grove in Swansea. So kind of like musical chairs over at the St. John's Athletic Club as far as restaurants inside. Hopefully this one will be successful and stay put for a little while.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully this one will stick, as they say.
Yeah.
All right. You can check out Kevin's work on Facebook. Search for Fall River Development News. Please do him a favor and me a favor as well. Like his content and support and follow everything that Kevin does over there, because he really is many times ahead of the curve in terms of business and economic development news. All right, Kevin, we'll talk again next week. Take care.
Thank you, Keith.
Welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have neither. We actually have a rabbit. This is Charisse, about a year-old lop-eared rabbit. They were a surrender. Their owner unfortunately passed away and no one else came forward to take care of him, so he's in our care now. A good beginner pet. It's a good family pet. It's good with the kids, easy to take care of, easy to clean. Charisse also came in with a friend, Chips. They're not necessarily bonded, so they don't have to go together, but it would be nice because they did come in together and they must have lived together, at least for a little while. And this is their friend, Chips. A little more skittish than Charisse is. Isn't the biggest fan of being held, but I think with time and if you actually, form a bond with this rabbit, I think they'll be okay with it. Needs a little bit of socializing. Maybe it's just the new environment or the change, but he has been a little more afraid of human touch. Still not super mean though. We can clean his cage, we can feed him, no problem. So if you'd like to come down and meet Charisse and Chips, come down to 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Massachusetts, and fill an application with these guys today.
Hello and welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Hendrix. Hendrix is a macaw. He's a little different from what we get here most of the time. He is about 20 years old. He did come to us as a surrender. Unfortunately, they just couldn't keep him anymore. He's very sweet. As you can tell, he is a little naked. He unfortunately was not fed a proper diet where he was previously, so we're working with him on that. Keep in mind, he does need a good amount of care. He needs to be misted every day. He needs to be on the proper diet, proper size cage. These guys are a little bit high maintenance, but definitely worth it because they are very sweet, very loving. He's definitely growing to trust us a little bit more. You can see he eats right out of my hand. He's very gentle taking his snacks. If you're interested in meeting Hendrix, you can come on down to 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, or you can go online to foreverpaws.com and find an online application there as well.
That'll wrap up this edition of FRC Media News. Visit our website, frmedia.org, for more local news and information. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. on Channel 95 and the Fall River HD channel, which you can find on Channel 1072. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next Thursday.